Section 42 of The Wonderful Adventures of Nils. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Lars Rolander. The Wonderful Adventures of Nils by Selma Lagerlöf. Translated by Velma Swanston Howard. The Treasure on the Island. On their way to the sea. Friday, October 7th. From the very start of the autumn trip the wild geese had flown straight south, but when they left Fryksdalen they veered in another direction, travelling over western Vermland and Dalsland toward Bohuslän. That was a jolly trip. The goslings were now so used to flying that they complained no more of fatigue, and the boy was fast recovering his good humour. He was glad that he had talked with a human being. He felt encouraged when she said to him that if he were to continue doing good to all whom he met, as heretofore, it could not end badly for him. She was not able to tell him how to get back his natural form, but she had given him a little hope and assurance, which inspired the boy to think out a way to prevent the big white gander from going home. "Do you know, Morten Goosey Gander, that it will be rather monotonous for us to stay at home all winter, after having been on a trip like this?" he said as they were flying far up in the air. "I'm sitting here thinking that we ought to go abroad with the geese." "Surely you are not in earnest?" said the goosey gander. Since he had proved to the wild geese his ability to travel with them all the way to Lapland, he was perfectly satisfied to get back to the goose pen in Holger Nilsson's cowshed. The boy sat silently a while and gazed down on Vermland, where the birch woods, leafy groves, and gardens were clad in red and yellow autumn colours. "I don't think I've ever seen the earth beneath us as lovely as it is to day," he finally remarked. "The lakes are like blue satin bands. Don't you think it would be a pity to settle down in West Vemminghög and never see any more of the world?" "I thought you wanted to go home to your mother and father and show them what a splendid boy you had become," said the goosey gander. All summer he had been dreaming of what a proud moment it would be for him when he should alight in the house yard before Holger Nilsson's cabin, and show Dunfin and the 6 goslings to the geese and chickens, the cows and the cat, and to Mother Holger Nilsson herself, so that he was not very happy over the boy's proposal. "Now, Morten Goosey Gander, don't you think yourself that it would be hard never to see anything more that is beautiful?" said the boy. "I would rather see the fat grain fields of Söderslätt than these lean hills," answered the goosey gander. "But you must know very well that if you really wish to continue the trip, I can't be parted from you." "That is just the answer I had expected from you," said the boy, and his voice betrayed that he was relieved of a great anxiety. Later, when they travelled over Bohuslän, the boy observed that the mountain stretches were more continuous. The valleys were more like little ravines blasted in the rock foundation, while the long lakes at their base were as black as if they had come from the underworld. This, too, was a glorious country, and as the boy saw it, with now a strip of sun, now a shadow, he thought that there was something strange and wild about it. He knew not why, but the idea came to him that once upon a time there were many strong and brave heroes in these mystical regions who had passed through many dangerous and daring adventures. The old passion of wanting to share in all sorts of wonderful adventures awoke in him. "I might possibly miss not being in danger of my life at least once every day or two," he thought. "Anyhow, it's best to be content with things as they are." He did not speak of this idea to the big white gander, because the geese were now flying over Bohuslän with all the speed they could muster. and the goosey gander was puffing so hard that he would not have had the strength to reply. The sun was far down on the horizon, and disappeared every now and then behind a hill. Still the geese kept forging ahead. Finally, in the west they saw a shining strip of light, which grew broader and broader with every wing stroke. Soon the sea spread before them, milk white with a shimmer of rose red and sky blue, and when they had circled past the coast cliffs, they saw the sun again, as it hung over the sea, big and red and ready to plunge into the waves. As the boy gazed at the broad, endless sea, and the red evening sun, which had such a kindly glow that he dared to look straight at it, he felt a sense of peace and calm penetrate his soul. "It's not worth while to be sad, Nils Holgersson," said the sun. "This is a beautiful world to live in, both for big and little. It is also good to be free and happy, and to have a great dome of open sky above you." THE GIFT OF the WILD GEESE. The geese stood sleeping on a little rock islet just beyond Fjällbacka. When it drew on toward midnight, and the moon hung high in the heavens, old Akka shook the sleepiness out of her eyes. After that she walked around and awakened Yksi and Kaksi, Kolme and Nelje, Viisi and Kuusi. And last of all she gave Thumbietot a nudge with her bill that startled him. "What is it, Mother Akka?" he asked, springing up in alarm. "Nothing serious," assured the leader goose. "It's just this: we seven, who have been long together, want to fly a short distance out to the sea to night, and we wondered if you would care to come with us." The boy knew that Akka would not have proposed this move had there not been something important on foot, so he promptly seated himself on her back. The flight was straight west. The wild geese first flew over a belt of large and small islands near the coast, then over a broad expanse of open sea till they reached the large cluster known as the Väder Islands. All of them were low and rocky, and in the moonlight one could see that they were rather large. Akka looked at one of the smallest islands and alighted there. It consisted of a round gray stone hill with a wide cleft across it, into which the sea had cast fine white sea sand and a few shells. As the boy slid from the goose's back, he noticed something quite close to him that looked like a jagged stone. But almost at once he saw that it was a big vulture which had chosen the rock island for a night harbour. Before the boy had time to wonder at the geese recklessly alighting so near a dangerous enemy, the bird flew up to them, and the boy recognized Gorgo, the eagle. Evidently Akka and Gorgo had arranged the meeting, for neither of them was taken by surprise. "This was good of you, Gorgo," said Akka. "I didn't expect that you would be at the meeting place ahead of us. Have you been here long?" "I came early in the evening," replied Gorgo, "but I fear that the only praise I deserve is for keeping my appointment with you. I've not been very successful in carrying out the orders you gave me." "I'm sure, Gorgo, that you have done more than you care to admit," assured Akka. "But before you relate your experiences on the trip, I shall ask Thumbietot to help me find something which is supposed to be buried on this island." The boy stood gazing admiringly at two beautiful shells, but when Akka spoke his name, he glanced up. "You must have wondered, Thumbietot, why we turned out of our course to fly here to the West Sea," said Akka. "To be frank, I did think it strange," answered the boy. "But I knew, of course, that you always have some good reason for whatever you do." "You have a good opinion of me," returned Akka, "but I almost fear you will lose it now, for it is very probable that we have made this journey in vain." "Many years ago it happened that two of the other old geese and myself encountered frightful storms during a spring flight and were wind driven to this isle.